My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into TechPath. I do want to thank our sponsor, and that is iTrust Capital. Make sure and check it out for your own crypto IRA. And of course, you can get into all sorts of digital assets over there, as well as precious metals. Use our link down below. You're going to get a $100 funding reward to get started. And go down that route because we're starting to get into tax season. So there's some things you can do around IRAs. Again, always consult a good tax advisor for your best route. All right, let's get into a couple things. I want to hit on a clip here to kick off before we get into the interview today with Ron Hammond coming over from Blockchain Association. But let's go to this first clip. Take a look.
So you asked, are there any places that the vice president is overperforming Joe Biden in 2020? So we could show you that as well. We just bring that out here. Harris overperforming in 2020.
Holy smokes.
There you go. So let this go away and see if there's anything on the east side there.
Literally nothing?
Literally nothing.
Literally not one county?
So that was a big statement. I think, Jake Tapper there was pretty much surprised at the underperformance of Harris. I think the scenario, though, is how well crypto performed as a whole. So I want to break it down. I want to bring in Ron Hammond coming in from the Blockchain Association. Ron, how are you today?
I'm doing good, Paul. I'm a little tired, but I think we all are. But we're happy. I mean, a lot of great things happened for crypto in this election, so really can't wait to get into it.
No doubt about it. I didn't go to bed till about 4 a.m. So listen, the good thing, I think the good news is that I feel like there's a little bit of healing going on, and we may have a good bipartisan position here for pro-crypto, pro-business, pro-innovation. You look at Mark Cuban's tweet. He was congratulating Trump fair and square. Congrats to Musk as well. I think that's the kind of relationship that we need going forward is really crossing the aisle. And when you look at that right now, first of all, were you surprised with anything in terms of the races?
I was surprised how quick it was. It was wrapped up, candidly. I thought we'd be probably waiting until Friday to get those results in. And I know we're still waiting for the House on a lot of those California seats. But overall, that was pretty shocking. Ohio was very shocking as well. There was a lot of folks going either way on that race towards the end. But Moreno came out, which is a huge win for the industry itself on a lot of fronts. But for the most part, Pennsylvania was the big one to carry. And I think lastly, too, just the idea of crypto being mentioned by both presidential candidates 2 weeks out before the vote, that's huge. Like it gave a lot of credence to the fact that they realized that there's a voter here, and they both tried to court it at the towards the end. Obviously, one side did a lot better with their positions and how they framed it, but it's weird to see that both candidates really try to get the crypto vote in the last waning moments. And I think it sticks around that the anti-crypto voter is not a thing, and this is a demographic to be courted for votes.
Yeah, I think this really changes the course of history for crypto lobbying, but also I think crypto innovation, blockchain in general, I think is winning big now. And we may see some pretty cool things happening in the United States. Finally, I feel like we're on the right track, at least around the regulatory side of things. This is, of course, Kristen Smith, your boss, coming in and said crypto won on election day. Biggest takeaway here is zero electoral upside. To your point of being anti-crypto, absolutely zero. I totally agree with Kristen, which we've had on the show before. And I tell you, the thing here right now is why did we even see candidates that came in, and I've got a whole list of them right here. Let me kind of go to Stand With Crypto here. Look at this. I was still surprised that we saw 115 anti-crypto candidates being elected, even though we did have 253 in the House. That is, to me, an absolute wave for pro-crypto. What do you think it's going to take to get those 115 at least educated and start moving our way? What's on the agenda right now?
I mean, Paul, when I first started working on this back in 2016, when I was a Hill staffer, I think the final count was like 10 members of Congress. We have 4 Democrats, 6 Republicans, like at that time in 2017, 2018. So when I see 115 plus, like that's a huge number. And candidly, like I'm really excited by that. Now, a lot of folks will say, hey, it's the money that got involved here. It's the money that got involved in the PACs. And that's why there's so many people who turned out and support these candidates or got behind them and was funding them. But candidly, I think the thing is that this is more of a narrative shift as a whole. The anti-crypto army narrative was a really bad political mistake that backfired tremendously. I think it also just more damages Warren's brand as a whole. But also, the crypto lobby is a force now. And so if you want to cross that force, I think it was very apparent. Senator Tester, for example, from Montana, he called crypto bullshit literally 2 years ago after the FTX fiasco. And that came back to haunt him, and he lost his Senate race. And that's a very crucial race that determined the Republican Senate. So I think it's very much of, hey, if you want to cross crypto, be careful. You're going to be in the crosswires here. And that's just the next phase, I think, of just where we're at right now. I mean, folks, I know a lot of people want to think that it's all over from here on out. Everything's going to be a green light. We got the next stage of the lobbying fight. We got a lot of the TradFi folks coming in. I know this is a time that a lot of folks usually try to get, kind of capture market share. Or try to drown out a lot of the startups. And so, there's going to be a lot of fights that are still happening on the AML front too. So, buckle up, because by no means, just because we have a pretty good Congress and a great administration potentially, there's going to be a lot of hurdles to overcome to get what we need.
No, I totally agree with you, is that this is just the beginning, but the fact that we actually have a starting point now, which I think is the real win here, is going forward. You do look at some of the key races right here. Ohio, of course, was Bernie Moreno coming in over Sherrod Brown, which is pretty much the lieutenant of the anti-crypto army out there with, of course, Senator Warren. With losing Sherrod Brown out of this particular faction within government right now that is anti-crypto, what does this do to Senator Warren's position? And ironically, when I was looking at some of the debate material between John and Senator Warren, she acted a little bit like her armor cracked a little bit. Now, I don't know, maybe it's just wishful thinking, but do you think there is a way that we can get Senator Warren to call off the dogs?
No, I think you're 100% right. And candidly, I think this election results are the wake-up call for her that she pushed way too far. And again, I'm not saying just crypto here. I think there's been a lot more in the Democrat circles that I've been communicating with, that her brand is like a progressive overall is definitely starting to fade a little bit. Again, there was that deal with the Biden administration where she was able to get a lot of her finance folks within those agencies as a way to endorse Biden and kind of shore up that progressive flank. But that has backfired tremendously, as we've seen through the policies, being very unpopular on both the right, but also more of the center left as well. And we've seen that trickle down to crypto and several other issues. Now, here's the thing that folks need to be aware of, though, because Senator Warren did win her race against Sean Dean, unfortunately, but that was largely expected. Sherrod Brown being out. Now we have John Tester's out. Those are two folks ahead of her in line. And then we have two other members, Warner from Virginia, who he's going to be there for a while, it seems, as well as Jack Reed from Rhode Island. And those two folks do chair other committees. And so technically right now, Senator Warren could be the lead Democrat for Senate banking. Now, they'll be in the minority, but there is a world, and a very likely world right now, where she could be leading that committee. And the question is she going to use that time to more go after crypto, or to go after the industry that has really taken down a lot of her colleagues who are anti-crypto? We will see, but that's going to be a really important dynamic to watch, because also you have to look at the Democrats and say, we realize this is a losing message. Do we try to find someone else to replace her as that chair? Because if she becomes the head of all Democrats for finance policy, we've seen that doesn't really resonate with the American people. So that's a very difficult situation for the Democrats right now.
I want to make a statement on that. I do want to go to Senator Warren's speech, and we'll listen in on that. Let's go to that clip.
Hello, Massachusetts. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We demonstrated that we can make change, big change, and here is where it really gets to be fun.
So we've got her very excited there, but at the same time, I think she might have been a little bit concerned with what Deaton was able to do in a candidate who has never run before, that almost comes in at 40% of the vote there in Massachusetts, which was surprising when you look at some of the data. That could have a position, to your point, is that maybe she's going to reposition her strategy kind of going forward from here. Do you think, what would have to happen for that to occur? Would it be something within the committee structure? Would it be something within some of the policy alignment? Where do you think this would go from a strategy standpoint there in D.C.?
It takes a lot of routes here. And at least, when you have a full majority here for the Republicans, they don't need the Democrats for a lot of things. And I think that's going to be the kind of the balance we got to make sure we strike here, is that, we worked really hard to get these Democrats along the ride with us and make sure that crypto is a nonpartisan issue. And that's why a lot of folks in the lobbying side were saying, even before the results were announced, that this is going to be the most pro-crypto Congress, because they did a lot of the works in the primaries where we got pro-crypto candidates. Again, we had some instances of a pro-crypto Democrat versus a pro-crypto Republican yesterday. And so that's a great situation. Like, we want more of those situations where that crypto doesn't even need to be a policy issue, because it's understood that, yeah, it's like the internet. It's going to be here to stay, and being anti-internet is a really dumb position to have. But I think that's kind of the next phase now, is that we got past that phase of crypto is here for to stay. And if you try to buck the trend, you're going to probably find yourself out of a job in Congress here. And now it's going to be moving forward to, let's get some concrete policy and let's get the hard work done. And that's going to be a whole slew of issues here. But when it comes to Senator Warren's brand, and as well as the anti-crypto army brand as a whole, very significantly tarnished all across. And I think they have to look and say, where is our party going on this issue? Because we had several people like Ro Khanna and Mark Cuban taking drastic steps to try to course correct on crypto alone, and having multiple conversations and dialogue, both public and private, with the Biden administration and the Harris folks. And we didn't see the Harris folks really budge when it came to giving this industry really anything in terms of clear policy outlines. And again, that's more the theme for the entire campaign as a whole, but that came to bite them. And so the question is now is, A, is there going to be some animosity to crypto here from some folks because they lost a race or they lost some key allies? And again, that goes on the Republican side too, because crypto played with a lot of Democrats as well. And then secondly, you have to look at, will the Republicans make this a partisan issue? And that's the worst thing to happen here, because there's only 2 years here, and likely we'll have a Democrat probably control the Senate. They have Republicans have a really tough seat to defend the next cycle. So I think it's just making sure the state is bipartisan, because if it gets partisan, it could get really chilling for a while after these 2 years are up.
Yeah, I think that's the key, is the next 24 months before the midterms is going to be a big scenario playing out, because there are going to be some key races right there. I do want to flip over to Bernie Moreno's speech, because I think this is a new face that we're going to see a lot more of. And I want to get your take on this, but let's go ahead and play that clip.
Talk without action is nothing. What we're going to do is massively reduce the size and scale of the federal government, and we're going to do it from Congress, because it's Congress that has the power of the purse. Now, that starts by getting rid of agencies that we don't need, relocating them out of Washington, D.C. We're going to have a bold and ambitious agenda for the Republican Party.
All right, so a few things that he's going into is a lot of agencies, a lot of the bureaucratic, heft of D.C. in general. First of all, what are your thoughts on Moreno? How do you think, have you had a chance to kind of talk with him or see his positions so far?
Yeah, actually, I've had the pleasure of knowing him for actually 8 years now. So when I actually first got into crypto policy, I worked for Ohio member of Congress, Warren Davidson. And actually, I got connected to Bernie Moreno through our efforts in crypto, because Moreno was working on putting car tiles on the blockchain. So I've actually known him quite some time. And so really exciting to see that he had political ambitions to eventually run for Senate. And so that was really good. Like, on the opposite side, actually, when I was working for Warren Davidson back in 2018, 2019 with Moreno, having these conversations, I was also meeting with Sherrod Brown personally. And it was he was actually very, very nice to me personally. We met in the Capitol to talk about market structure legislation for crypto. And he obviously really did not know anything about crypto in 2019 and more passed it off. He's being very nice. But at least in those conversations, it was very much clear, night and day, even back then, 2019, 2018, that Brown was definitely not really caring much about crypto, and Moreno was very much all in and was really ready to lead that even years ago. And candidly, too, Maxine Waters, when we met with her to talk about the same exact bill as Sherrod Brown, we did it about 2 weeks before that, she was a lot more open there. And she obviously voted against that market structure bill, but that's why we were saying, even before the election results came in, if the Democrats have the House, the Republicans have the House, we're feeling pretty optimistic that crypto legislation is going to get across the finish line, and some good stuff too, regardless of who's in control. And that's what we want. We if there is a split Congress down the road, we want to make sure we can work with it. And that's what I think this election really kind of set the deck for.
What do you think is going to happen now that we've potentially got a real challenge against the anti-crypto army? You look at the potential that this will flow down into the SEC. Most likely, Trump has come on and been on record saying he would get rid of Gensler. Whether that's going to happen on what the structure is. First of all, what would be the possibility of an early potential sidestep or reassignment to the SEC chair? When do you think that could happen coming in if Trump does hold his word?
So if Gensler doesn't resign till when Trump takes office, which it's sometimes agency heads do that. They do resign the day after the election. They wait till the last minute sometimes. I'm sure Gensler, knowing him, probably will wait till the last second. But we'll see. But he'll be done when Trump is inaugurated. And he'll put in his new people. Now, they got to go through the confirmation process. So we'll have a temporary chair. So I would imagine like Mark Ueda, who's the current commissioner on the Republican side with Hester Peirce. He's likely one, but Hester could be one too. And then that's when we go to the full confirmation process for a new SEC chair, and there's a Republican Senate, so actually it's going to be a lot faster, likely, than it was when Trump had the administration last go around. So we'll see, who he nominates for that. But that's the thing I'm telling folks here is like, while Trump's policies are great, it's going to be the personnel. Like those are the people that are going to be driving everything because, crypto's really, in the weeds. There's a lot of things going on, obviously, for the president, and that person that Trump picks is really important to determine what is going to be worked on in Congress as well as the regulators. So, for example, in the hypothetical case, like if we do like a more of a Bitcoin maxi kind of type personality, maybe we could see a lot more focus on more of the strategic reserve, but maybe less on things like market structure or stable coins. Again, that's just a hypothetical situation, but this is the next phase. It's really important is who is he going to put in those positions, both at the agency and the White House on crypto, because he said he's going to have crypto positions in the White House, which is a brand new thing. So we will see what happens.
Hey, listen, other countries are doing that, so I don't anticipate that Trump is going to let that slide for him to get ousted there in terms of some other country being able to get an angle on this. I just want to get your opinion. Do you think it could be Hester Peirce, Dan Gallagher? There's a handful, even, Giancarlo's been, thrown in there. There's many names that are coming in. Anyone that you're thinking that could come in as the potential chair?
There have been a couple names that I've been hearing in my circles. On top of Giancarlo that you mentioned, Peirce, his name comes up, but she's said publicly she's not really keen on it. Ueda, I would look at more probably on that side. Gallagher as well, again, Robin Hood, he's mentioned it. We'll see on that front. Paul Atkins, I would look at him. He was a former SEC commissioner. His name's been coming up in circles as well. Heath Harbor's name has been coming up. He was with the CFTC beforehand. He's at Circle now, but his name has come up in my circles. And then lastly, Dahlia Bloss, I think she's at Simon Cromwell. It's another name that I've been hearing. She's not more in the crypto space knowledge, but again, it's the Trump world, and Trump does sometimes throw some curveballs at the last second. So just because these names being floated out right now, we could see a curveball before you know it.
All right, well, guys, we're going to have to really work hard here, I think, to get some names out there in front of Trump and his new cabinet and ministers to really kind of go in that direction, at least on a pro-crypto position for the SEC. You look at the amount of regulations that we could see kind of unwrapping here. I was looking at some of the administration's movement over the past 4 years, and you look at Biden, final rules about 1070, almost 1.8 trillion in final rule cost. Trump was 1180 in his era, 3 billion in costs. Even if you go back to Obama, 1400 final rules. What regulations do you feel like could be right at the front without going through Congress and actually just executive orders, et cetera, that could start to unravel here for crypto?
So my conversation with the Trump folks and those adjacent to it, it seems like, again, a lot of this stuff has to go through Congress. There's not too much you can do besides a personnel change, a snap of the finger. But I do think we will get a snap of the finger or executive order or something probably in the early first 100 days at the very least, which will probably be, if I had to imagine, either stable coins or debanking. Now, the debanking stuff, there's been a lot of questions and rumors. I know Nick Carter had that post. Custodia and Caitlin Long have been really out in front of that. And I think we're going to see a little more from Congress on that front too. But in the meantime, I think we're going to see more of an immediate action from Trump in the first 100 days on that front, on top of seeing where the personnel is. And I've been talking to his team. It seems like they have a pretty hefty list for each agency for the crypto side of who they want to put in. So we'll see again who makes it through the process. But the first 100 days for the Trump administration, crypto is going to be primed on a number of fronts to come up in policy, including tax. Tax seems to be one of the big things that the Republicans are going to get to in the first 100 days when he's there. And crypto tax is prime on that time. For those who recall, the broker rule, the big infrastructure bill that had that really controversial rule that captured miners and software developers and DeFi, that's supposed to get finalized sometime by the end of this year. So if it's good or bad, that's likely going to be addressed in the tax bill coming up in early 2025. We have a lot of other tax issues too. So I would stay on the lookout for those kind of regulations because those are going to be moving pretty fast. I think I was telling folks earlier, I think the first 6 months for the Trump administration are going to be huge for crypto and kind of setting the tone of like how far this administration is willing to go for a lot of regs and legislation.
What about the existing lawsuits? Do you think we'll see the SEC back off of that, or do you think those could potentially just go away, or what do you think is going to be the execution side?
I've been chatting with a couple of lawyers, in-house and a couple of other companies. It's hard to determine right now exactly what's the state of this. We will probably see some get dropped, but it's really hard to see at the current moment. And again, there have been some even rumors of like potential pending investigations. Like the Tether one comes to mind, for example. Mm-hmm. I know the CEO said that's FUD, but like that's been one thing circulating in DC circles for quite some time. Is just is there something on Tether? So there's active investigations, there's active litigation. I think we'll see a lot of that stuff drop on the litigation front, but it's unclear. It's you have to remember Jay Clayton did prosecute Ripple, so that started a Republican administration. So you have to say like it's not a guarantee just because it's a Republican, but I think it's pretty safe to bet that crypto has got a lot more power now, and it'd be hard to see a continuation of a lot of those cases.
Yeah, Ron, there was an unbelievable seismic shift in the polling data that came around, not only in some of the Senate races, but obviously within the presidential race. You have Shane Copeland here, Polymarket, just got word that the Trump campaign HQ literally found out that they were winning from Polymarket. I put out a tweet last night basically saying this serves notice pretty much that pollsters got it wrong again, while Polymarket had the line on this for quite some time. What does this do to the pollster community, the data that comes out of DC, and what we've seen started to really evolve around innovation that is changing the way people are looking at a lot of these electoral maps, as well as other things. We're going to start seeing this in all sorts of business class, I think, as well. What's the current temperature of DC about that?
I used to do campaigns back in the day before I was in Congress, and I can tell you the whole game has changed completely. And I think the Trump campaign ran a really good campaign on this front, and that includes a lot leaning into folks like Polymarket and the betting markets, and a lot of folks, especially on the Democrat side, were really pushing back on the betting markets getting approved. But when the Kalshi case went more towards the industry, we saw a huge flurry, and we did see a political reaction. Though we did see a lot of Democrats say, I think the Polymarkets are having an influence on the vote tally. Some folks maybe be discouraged to vote, or some folks may be more encouraged to vote. And so that, I think the political fallout of that is something worth monitoring, because the major theme for a lot of the Democrats this go around was very much sticking to the script and going with the same campaign playbook that worked for them. But we saw Trump go on things like on podcasts, on Joe Rogan, and really taking a different approach, and that did seem to benefit. And so the question is, will the Democrats lean more into that tech side of how the campaigns are evolving, or are they going to try to push that back again? That's a crossroads they're probably at right now. So we'll see how that plays out. But if they start attacking Polymarket, I'm sure will continue for quite some time, and that's going to be a CFTC battle. That's going to be an ad committee.
That will be a very interesting scenario or strategy. I think that we may see the Democrats get into a position where they might embrace the innovation in the technology side, because it started to prove itself out in the last two resolves, especially in some of these. I want to go to a clip here, because this is talking about the pollsters, and you guys will get kind of a sense of this. Take a look.
Also mentioned Iowa. Donald Trump, 56%, Kamala Harris, 42%. That poll, that Ann Seltzer poll,
was wrong. The poll was wrong. This one, which was such an outlier, appears to be an outlier. It's completely over with. We will dig through and find out where the polls were wrong and where they were right.
I just don't get it.
It's unfathomable. I'll have an explanation when we ramp up again. Yeah, I'm getting tired.
All right, you can sign off, Dad, if you want.
I'm going to sign off.
Our time is running out. I do want to send a quick message to all the pollsters, the election pollsters. Blow me. I don't ever want to from you again, ever. I don't ever want to hear, we've corrected for the overcorrection of the voters. We'll figure it out next time. Plus or minus, we were in the margin of blow me. Okay. You don't know shit about shit.
Hey, listen, nobody's pulling punches right now. I think this is part comedy there. But of course, we had Alan Lichtman on there, who was the keys guy who has been right pretty much all the time. He, of course, got rebutted there. We saw all of the pollsters coming in. This is a very interesting time, I think, for a lot of technology and innovation around. And the funny thing here, of course, Polymarket out there announcing this before the major the major networks again get the rug pulled out from underneath them for sure. Last couple of things I want to hit on is the three bills: stablecoin bill, the FIT bill, and also SAB 121. What are your thoughts on how those resolve out? I know we have this session that's going to be very soft coming in November and December. Do you anticipate most of this is going to be done after the first of the year?
It's hard to map out for stablecoins right now, but the scenario you have is a lot of Republicans are asking themselves, do we take a deal at all? Like, we're going to have the whole deck. Like, why do we need to take a deal right now? So I think that's the question of, is the stablecoin Democrat, or the Democrats going to push, at least on the admin side, like they have been the past 2 years? Are they going to keep pushing against, the states having a role regulating stablecoins, or only banks can issue stablecoins? If they're going to still hold those hard lines, the Republicans are going to probably just wait and then get to it next year. Now, French Hill from Arkansas, he said that both stablecoins and market structure, should the Republicans win the House and should he be finance services chair, which he's running for it and he's one of the main contenders, he said he wants those up to President Trump's desk in the first 6 months, which I think is, at least for stablecoins, very viable. Market structure, I think it's going to be a little more hard to move forward on that front that early, but like by the end of the year, I think we'll see significant development on the market structure front, where it's likely sitting in the Senate and trying to get a vote through, or maybe attached to a final bill. But like, I think those two bills in particular have a really good legway here. And again, FIT 21 is a pretty big bill. You can throw a lot of things in there, NFTs. You can throw in a lot of stuff when it comes to the SAB 121 fix.
Yeah.
So there's a plethora of areas here. And let's not forget, finally, Senate Banking Committee is going to be led by Tim Scott from South Carolina, who committed to have a crypto or digital asset subcommittee. So like, this is going to be the first subcommittee in the Senate that moves and makes legislation. And it's always started in the House. So seeing it in the Senate, it's going to be a big move. And that's not going to be a roadblock. We're going to have, at least we've had the past 2 years here, we're going to now be able to move forward in the Senate. So a lot of possibilities. But again, also the last thing, it's Trump's party. And so if the admin or those in the personnel who decide to, shift it more to like strategic reserve or to other, priorities within the administration, that can take away a lot from the other crypto stuff. Because you only get a couple bites of the apple, because Trump made a lot of promises. And you can't have 3-4 weeks of voting for just crypto. You got a lot of other issues here. So
yeah, for sure,
it's going to spread.
It's going to need to move quickly for sure. Last thing up here, I think good, first of all, it's going to be, I think, good news for what you guys are doing in terms of your efforts. The policy summit is coming up in December next month. What is the plan for that now? With pretty much we have the slate in place. How are you guys going to approach the summit now?
Well, we got a great lineup. I mean, we stacked it up with a lot of good Republicans and Democrats. And actually, I'm pretty excited because, so Marky Wada, for example, so on the Republican side, again, I mostly do Republicans, but we got a lot of good Democrats. But they have a lot of key power players who are going to be there. So Marky Wada from the SEC, he's a big power player.
Yep.
Bill Hagerty, he's senator from Tennessee. He's on the short list to become the Treasury Secretary, a major player. So he's speaking. Yeah. I'm really excited to hear him speak. French Hill will be there. That's really exciting as well. Tim Scott. And then we have, a lot of folks in the NYDFS. Adrian Harris, she's a major player in the stablecoin bill negotiations right now. So these are a lot of great, very senior, high-level folks. And it will be a private setting, so we'll have a lot more intimate conversations, and hopefully we'll hear more. But I'm really excited. It's going to be a lot. And we didn't send a Hail Mary invite to President Trump. I don't think he'll be able to make it, but who knows? Crypto. It was that voting base he reached out to a week before the election, so anything's possible. But overall, the vibes are really high, really exciting, but there's a lot of stuff that we're coming into the fold here. And the last thing I'm just going to say too, this has been on the precipice for a while, but the amount of folks I met in New York 2 weeks ago when I was there, but also just been talking to within the Trump world, but also those close by, is the amount of TradFi folks going to get in. And that's going to change a lot on the lobbying side, obviously the markets as well, but it seems very apparent that the TradFi folks are going to be a major, major theme next year, both in politics and in the markets. And how that is going to have an effect on how crypto looks in a year is going to be telling. So, something to watch out for, but, we're excited. At least end of horizon.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be timing up a lot of things within, and maybe putting the U.S. back on track here to become the global leader around blockchain and where this is going. This is just showing you guys' website on the policy summit that is happening over in December. I'll be there, hopefully, to check out things of what you guys are up to. So, hey, Ron, listen, it's been great having you on today. We definitely will be checking back with you as policy starts to make its way into D.C. And we'll get a chance to take a look at how that's going to be affecting the crypto and the blockchain industry. Thank you so much for coming in today. We appreciate it.
Likewise, and I'll see you in a month in DC.
All right. Thanks, Ron. All right, you guys, make sure and tune in now and get in on the Diamond Circle. It's one of the great places to get additional content from us. We do a podcast over there, a lot more content that you guys can get to. And it's very easy to join. All you have to do is use the link down below. Of course, you can follow me out there on X at Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.